Okay, then let's start the class for today. So can you see my screen now? Guys, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So yesterday we were discussing about control statement, right? If conditions, else conditions, elif, and we also discussed for loop, right? So one more loop is that is pending, that is a while loop. So let's discuss that. And also we discussed about break and continue, which is a loop control statements, right? So right. Right. So we discussed while loop yesterday. So sorry, loops. I mean, in that we discussed for loops especially. So we use for loop to iterate through list of items that is given as input. And for each item, if you wanted to do something on that, or if you wanted to execute some statements or any logic on the input, right, we can use for loop. And so to control the loops, right, we have two statements, that is break and continue. So if there is a condition, if you want to come out of the loop, we can use break. Or when there is a condition, if you wanted to skip the other statements that followed by continue, we'll be using continue. Okay. So we discussed this yesterday with an example as well. So today we'll discuss while loop. Okay. So in while loop, right? So basically this is nothing but simple one. While there is a condition, okay, and we have true and done. So here is a condition. So when it is true, okay, this body will be executed, loop of the body. So whenever this becomes false, the control will come out from the loop. Okay, that is the basic difference between for and loop and while loop. Okay, in for loop, so it will go through all the list of items that are given. So what is once all the list of items are iterated or it processed everything, it will come out of the loop. But while, so right in this one, so it will keep executing this body until this condition becomes false. Okay, so this is one thing about for while loop. And again, so we also use while loop to read a files, any regular text files. Okay, so it will be like this. While read line do, and any statements that we want to do execute online. I mean, like execute done, but here field will give a file name as input. Okay, so these are the two different flavors of while loop that we will discuss today. And then we did not discuss something that is arithmetic operations, right? Where we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, right? Multiplication, division, and modulo something. So we will discuss this, and with this one, we'll close our Linux classes totally. Okay. So for any questions before we get into the topic, this is the agenda for today. No questions?
No questions.
Great. So let's start with an example for the while loop. I'm writing while loop dot demo. Mhm. Uh, did you get the links to download the software?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So are you able to download? So condition I'm checking is I less than 10 to go $i and done. Okay. So what I'm checking here, our first thing, would it work? Do you see the condition what I'm doing there? Yeah, do you see any issue? You know it. So basically, you need to use this as a variable, right? If you are treating this as a variable, we should be using dollar. And one more condition, like, I initialized a value I to 1 and I'm checking well I less than 10. Is that condition correct? Or is it true or false? I less than 10 or not? I is holding value 1, 1 less than 10. That is true, right? Now it will come into the loop because the condition is true. What it will do, it will print echo $i. $i nothing but 1 and done. So it will come back to this again. Again it will check 1 is less than 10. It will come and print 1, 1, 1, 1. So how many times it will print? So this is an infinite loop basically, right? We are not increasing or incrementing this value of I. So unless it reaches more than 10, the loop will not break, right? So why I'm saying this, right? So when we are writing any loops, we need to be careful. What is if it is reaching that condition or not? If it is not reaching that condition, the loop will get into an infinite loop. So it will not end. Okay, that unnecessarily taking the resources and wasting the resources of your system. Okay, so what I'll do is I plus right. What I'm doing, I'm just incrementing this. So Increment I plus plus nothing but I is equals to I plus 1. Basically, that is a shortcut way in the programming. Okay, so let's try executing this one. I plus plus not found. See what it is doing? It's continuously executing this, right? I'll just press Control C. Why it is giving this? So right, expecting primary I plus plus. So I'll simply write this. I plus 1. So the the thing is, all the flavors doesn't support all this syntax. I'm not sure how this works here. Right, it's working, but it did not print 10, right? Right. So why it did not print 10? Because we are exiting from this loop whenever it reaches less than 10. So 10 is less than 10. Is that true or false? That is 10 less than 10. True or false?
False.
Right. So that's the reason at the same time it exited from the loop, and that's the reason we don't see value 10. Okay. So, we can do anything with this file loop. I mean, it's like when to use this, right? So again, so always keep in mind. So whenever it's a condition, until the condition is true, if you wanted to do something on the data, right, we'll be using while loop. But see, this is the same concept in any other programming language as well. For loop, it will iterate through the items that we given. So maybe it's a list of items. Okay, the collection of items. But while is, so it depends on the condition. Okay, that are the two main differences between while loop and for loop. Any question on this? And again, here the condition would be anything that evaluates to true or false. Okay, not only numbers or something. Even you can check until a file exists, you can iterate through this loop. So that up to your decision depends on the requirement. Okay, it's not only limited to arithmetic operations or something, but it always depends on. So if any condition that evaluates to true or false, we can execute this while loop. Any questions? Guys, any questions?
Not sure.
Okay. Right. So let's try to read a file now. Okay. So I already created one file. Next file, I think. Yeah, I have this file. Yeah, I just wanted to remove the last line. Okay. And so I have this code already there. file read demo. Right. So as I was telling you, right? So here. So with this file read line, right, we can use two options here. So one is -r, okay, and the other one is IFS. So these are case sensitive. So this is used so just to read like a raw text, right? So to prevent any escaped characters. See, escaped characters we will get to know very clearly in Python. So until then, just remember this: there is something escaped characters, right? And this, so it just prevent the trimmings actually. I mean, leading or spaces. So this ensures us to read the file as is. So that's the indirect meaning. Okay, but in some shells, this doesn't need it directly. We can execute. 1 second. Okay. So the other way of using this IFS is, let's say I have this file, right? I mean, I was just showing that text file.txt. See, I have this file and each one is separated by pipe symbol, right? But is there any way that I can treat this text file as a table, right? So that you can read this first column alone, second column as a separate column, third one as a separate column, fourth one as a separate column, right? It's like a semi-structured file. So in that way, so in these cases, we can use this IFS and we can define the delimiter. So in that way, right? So when we define this delimiter and assign it to IFS, okay, that it will treat as, each one, this one, I mean, just hello 1, 2, 3, right? And that will be treated as a separate column together. And how 1, 2, 3, right? This is treated as a separate, and R 1, 2, 3. This will be separate, treated as a separate. Okay, but let's see with an example, right? Okay. Again, so we'll go with the step by step. So we'll first try to read the file, how it works. So this is the code here. Okay. So while read -r line, so what it will do, right? So it will read each and every line, read each and every line one by one and do some operations based on we have whatever that we print here, or we can do some other modifications. Let's do something. First, we'll try to execute this file read demo, and I'm giving text file. See, it's printing that. Okay. So now, if I wanted to do something else on this file, so let's see that. Right. So instead of printing this, I also wanted to print something else. F1 is equals to, see, I'm using this backcode. I'll tell you what happens with this. Echo $line. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm doing a cut. Right? We already discussed cut, how it works. -d followed by this. And then I wanted to have So basically there are 4 lines, right? I mean, yeah. Right. Now, so I wanted to extract only field 1. Okay, that is hello 1. And then I wanted to print echo first column value is dollar $F1. Again, so I should end this, I mean, this backcode. So now, what will happen here when I use these backcodes? This backcode you can find in the keyboard, right? Before number 1, basically, not in the number pad. So we have alphabets, and above that will be having numbers, right? From 1 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 0. So very first key like in that line actually. Okay. We also have a tilde symbol on the same keyword. Okay. That one. So that is a backward, not single quote. Okay. Maybe I can do on screen keyboard. You see this keyboard?
Yes, sir.
So I was talking about this. Okay, sometimes you may feel like you will be using this, not this. We'll be using this backcode. This is called backcode. All right, you got it? No confusion, right? Okay, right. So I'm saving it and I click again. See what it is doing. It is reading every line, and then we are extracting field 1. Then see for each line, right? So this is a field 1. Again, this is a field 1. Again, this is a field 1 in line 3. That. And again, it's very simple if you wanted to extract only second or third. So it depends on our need basically. So I'll do 2 to 3. It's 2, 3. It will print how R, right? I'm printing this. Got it? Okay. So this is how we read files using while loop. And one more thing is, so I just wanted to save time, so I created this again. Hmm. You see, right? I was telling you, so we can extract only one column at a time, or right from the file. So what I'm doing, I just I'll copy this. Okay. Right. So hope it clear, right? So I defined this because our file is this way, right? I mean, so this is our file. When I say I declared this as a pipe symbol, which is this one. So then while read -r a b c d, that means this one will be treated as like this. So This is A. Okay, this is B. This is C. And this is D. You got it right? So we have 4 columns now. If you take an Excel sheet or any database table, it will be similar like that. So now we can access any individual field now, individual column in that way. Okay. It will assume we'll be reading the file this way, not a line by line. Now it will read as column by column. Let's see how it works. So here what I'm doing, I'm just printing $A. That's it. See, it printed this. Got it? So basically, these are the 2 ways that you can read text files. So if there is a delimiter, if you wanted to read as a structure, go with IFS and read that way. 2 ways. So with this one, right? So we concluded loops. These are very basic, but unless you don't practice, you can't remember them. You listen and forget. Okay. Right. So now what we are left with now. Right. So we will discuss arithmetic operations. So what are arithmetic? Before we go into the topic, so any questions on these loops? I mean, so we can discuss them. Come on, guys, you're not speaking anything today.
No, sir. No questions, sir.
So hope you understood, right? While loop and for loop, why do we use and when to use? See, basically, right? So if you are going to an interview, so nobody will ask you how to write loops in Unix or something. But these are all informational purpose. So when you are getting a chance to work on a Unix Linux system, so you need to keep remember these things. But interview point of view, they'll just simply ask you how to search for the logs for errors. We can use which we can use. We can use grep, find, cat, vi. So these are the main things that will ask. Okay, but people don't ask this while loops or for loops in interviews mostly. Most of the cases, maybe 90% of the interviews. Because these days, right, everything is getting migrated to cloud. So that is the reason. In cloud, mostly we use this copy, remove, move commands, but we don't use this for loops or if conditions or else conditions like that. Okay. Yeah. So I think I forgot to mention one more thing, that is output redirection. Not only output, just redirections or document types. You can also file types. So basically, this I hope you don't have any questions on the loops. So I'm going to the next topic now. That is redirections. So we have 0, 1, 2. This is standard input. What I'm doing with the keyboard, that is considered as a standard input. Standard output, and this is error. Okay, so what do we do with this one? So I'll give you an example, so then only we can understand. Again, I'm getting this. Did we see any error? No. I wanted to get an error. So if we see an error, so that we can explain this. 1 second, guys. I'm getting a call. Okay. Grape, I'm getting for something. Error star. You see, there is a permission denied error, right? And in some cases, its desktop is a directory. These are all errors basically. But I don't want to print all these errors on the console. I only wanted to see my output. I'll add one more file, echo, or I'll take something that's already there. We have text file, right? Text file.txt. To search for hello. Hello. Stop. Right. So now, so we have some output here. Then this is some output. But everything else, these are all errors. So what I'm saying in the previous here, so redirection of all these three. See this standard input that we discussed with the cat. So I'll come back to that one. Let's discuss this error first. So 2 is a error, right? So how to avoid printing on the console? It's just simple. So we are doing this way. See, what is the meaning of this? So basically, to redirect the errors, we use this to greater than symbol. There should be no space. So let's see how it works. Yeah, I told you there should be no space. Right. So what is this? Two things here. So either you wanted to save these errors, you can direct into one file. So error file.txt, right? If I say error file.txt, so you see all the errors are captured to a separate file, but only the console is printed here. What is the output of this command is printed here. Okay. But in case if I wanted to redirect everything to a file and later I'll check what it is, right? So in that case, so we can do this way, 2 greater than ampersand, that is means 1. Ampersand means and then 1, right? Okay. So again, this is a syntax error again. So when we use both, so it should be like this. The file name should come before and then 2 greater than and 1. What is this? right? So I just added to print this redirection symbol. Okay, that's the reason it's not able to capture that one. Okay, I'll just clear this. So again, I'll do error file.txt. See, now here we see output as well, right? And in case, right, so what we did in the previous command, so we redirected both, right? So if I wanted to do only this one, right? So this is how the redirections will work. Okay. So the other way, right? So if you wanted to just simply write everything into a file, you can simply use this one as well. It will simply create a file. I'll just create file.txt and oh, it captured the output, not the error. So by default, output redirection is on standard output, not the error. And if you wanted to ignore the error alone, you can use just two greater than symbol and give the file. That will be written into a file. But again, in the initial command, right, I used dev null, right? This one. To then dev null. So this means the errors will be ignored. So they will not be saved anywhere. Okay. Yeah. See, now I'll see many outputs. Previously I was just saying this. Now it's getting increased. Why? Because we are keep on saving this output into a file. That's the reason we are getting extra records or extra output. That's it. See, this is very simple. So when you are trying to do execute some commands, if you don't have any permission, so you'll get simply permission denied and you cannot open a file, right? In that case, as you want to separate out all these errors, you can just use this output redirections with. So if you wanted to write output only, you can use one or simply two greater than symbols. Otherwise, if you wanted to ignore only errors, you can use two greater than. Okay, that is output redirection. Clear? Any questions? Okay. So if there are no questions, let's get into arithmetic operations. Okay, this is very simple. So I'm just declaring two variables now. A is equals to 2, B is equals to 3, right? Now, if I wanted to add these two numbers, so how can I do that? Simply, the very simple syntax to remember is A plus B, right? But anyhow, it's giving that I'll do this. So this is a syntax which will be very easy to remember. And even you can use minus. And you can use into. And why it is 0? And one more thing. Okay. Now, this one, maybe you are clear, A plus B. This is A minus B, 2 minus 3 equal to minus 1. A to B, 2 into 3, that is 6. But A by B, why it is 0, and 5 by 2, why it is 2, why not is 2.5. So A by B, it is 0 because always these numbers are treated as integers which will not have any decimal points. So by default, that's treated as integer regular numbers. That's the reason 0.5 it cannot print, so it will just print 0, rounded to 0. Here is also same thing. So 5 by 2 it will be 2.5, so it will only give us integer part, not the decimal. And again, what is this? 5 by 2, 5 modulo 2. Basically this one, when we do arithmetic operator, this percent symbol called as modulo. Modulo nothing but it always gives us a reminder. So it's like this. Let me give an example. Right? I'm doing basically I'm dividing with the 5. Right? Right. When I do 2 to the 4, right? Four. So when I do that, we'll get the value as 1. So now this 1 will be given as output when we do a modulo. That is the meaning of it. And then 5 into 2, 5 multiplications to 0. What is it? Can you guess it? I'll give you another hint. Now it will print 8. Yeah. This one also 8. What is the meaning of it? Can anyone guess? It's very simple. Simple, guys. This is power of 2, something like that. When I say 5 to multiplication symbols, then 2, this is 5 power 2, 25. This is A. What is A now? So A is 2. So 2 power 3, 8. Again, it's 2 power 3 because A is 2, B is 3. Right? 2 power 3 again. Very simple, right?
Yeah.
And so A plus plus guys, this is very irritating, guys. And see what happening here?
We is adding every single like every one giving plus plus.
A plus plus nothing but A is equals to A plus 1. Okay. So very first time it just printed because it doesn't calculate anything. It's a post increment operator. So once this is added, it will be created or used in the next operation. That's why when I print this A plus plus, it's given 2. So if I print echo $A, it will print 10 because it will calculate it but store it will not give us until we retrieve that next time. This is a post increment. Whether this is pre increment. And if I print for $A, it will be 11 again. Basically, this is the difference. You got it right? So pre-increment, post-increment, pre-decrement, post-decrement. So both are there actually. This is pre-decrement, 10, right? So every time it will decrease something. Again, so if I use A minus minus, right? Now it will give me 7 only. And if I print now the $A, it will give us 6. Even you print 6. Now if I use, right, again doing post increment, it will 6 again. It will print 5. Now if I print $A, it will print 4. Right? So these are pre-incremental, post-incremental pre-decrement. It's like, we use them when we are operating in the loops most of the times with a while loop. We have just seen, right? So to increment some value, we'll be using this. Again, so this is a one way. The syntax is, so we used this syntax. For arithmetic operations, we use so we used this double parenthesis, right? Dollar. See, these are called operands. Operand, then operation, then operand. So if it is an incremental or decremental, there will be only one operand and operation. So it's like, the variables, right? A and B called as operands because we are doing some operations on that, mathematical operations. That is a, programming terminology basically, right? So the other way is we can use expression. Expression, it should be lowercase. Expression, then we use dollar symbol, then any operation that we want to perform, then values. So let's try how this works. Okay, we'll try how all this works. So again, I'm redeclaring values. A is equals to 4, B is equals to 3, right? So now I wanted to calculate echo expr $a plus $p. This is the other way of doing a mathematical operations. And again, you see there is a difference now. Now it got 1. What if I use this? Syntax error. Why it is syntax error? And if I use this, I got 12. But if I remove that, it's giving me syntax error. So basically in Linux, this asterisk or star is having a different meaning. Okay, we use them in most widely used in wildcards actually to, we use the star. So that means everything like that. Okay. And what I'm doing here, I'm doing an escape symbol. I was discussing, right? Preventing escape characters. So this is a way basically. So what it will do, right? So it is telling, so this is not a star. We are doing mathematical operations. That is a reason. Again, this might be 1, 3, 4, 3, 1, 3, then 1. Yeah, it is right. Right. So this is other way of doing mathematical operations, a second way. Okay. Again, right? So if I don't use these backwards, right? So let's say I'll delete this backwards. What it is doing, it just printing whatever that is followed by the echo. But when we enclose them within this backwards, it treated as a Linux command. It will be executed, then given to echo for printing it. Right? This is the difference. You got it right? Why we are using this backwards. We also sometimes we will be using this kind of syntax when writing shell scripts. Okay, keep in mind. So there is another way we use let basically. So I'll try if that works or not. That depends on the flavor of the shells that we are using. Let C is equals to A plus. This is a problem with the Unix, The spaces will not work. Dot something we miss will get a syntax error. So these things. Yeah, this is another way basically. So we can also use $C, right? This is the other way. So I would prefer to use, so anyhow, we discussed three things, right? One is this. Is this A is equals to dollar $A plus B. This is one syntax. This is other syntax. Then let C is equals to dollar $A plus dollar $B. These are the three syntaxes that we discussed for arithmetic operations, but this would be very easy. Okay, so even we use expressions with the star, right? So you might forget putting that escape character backslash. That will give you an error. So instead, go with this always when you are working with arithmetic operations in shell scripts. Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
Yeah, I think, so this is all for Linux. So I'll just recap what we discussed. So that will be clear on that. So far topics we covered. Tell me, so I think most of you are from the beginning in the class, right? So you should remember all these things. So what we discussed so far? So we discussed many things from the beginning. Anyhow, let me. Right. So first we discussed what is OS, what is Linux, and file management, right? And then we understood how to. In file management, we discussed some commands like mkdir, rmdir, cat, ls, and some other creation. I mean, how do we create files and cd, pwd, some other command that we discussed. And then we discussed how to create files that we discussed using touch, cat. So this symbol as well, we can create files. And then we discussed vi as well, right? And then we discussed some different commands, more, less, head, tail, grep, find, who am I, right? What else we discussed? Cut, du, df. What else? Do you remember all this that we discussed, or you are saying this first time?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. WC. Anyhow, there are more comments. I don't remember all these things, but you know, discuss them, and then we covered something on. Did we cover grep, find, who, oh my god. Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, the file permissions as well. This is good enough basically. To discuss chmod, chowner, right? And then we came back to shell scripting, right? So in shell scripting, what we discussed? So basic operations, right? Basics. The rules for writing shell script. Okay. And then, so basically on what we discussed on this, right? So again, so let me come back here. Yes. So here in shell scripting, we have this assignments, how to create assignments, and how to capture the status. Okay. And the command and arguments, how to read user input and capture it. Okay. And then we discussed if else conditions. Okay. If else conditions, and we discussed how to write if conditions, how to write if else condition using elif, right? Then we came to loops, that is a for loop and while loop. And then we discussed what we discussed then, the arithmetic operations as the last topic. Okay, I should have talked about this before. I mean, before we started the loop, but we covered it anyhow. And then output redirection, right? So these are all the topics that we cover, very basic that we needed for writing shell scripts, right? So I think I showed you the material as well. Go through it. It might be having some extra information, so that will be needed for you. In some cases, you need it. But whatever is the discussed, right? So this is very much enough for you to getting started. Maybe you are good enough to go for an interview as well on the Linux matter. I think most of you are having maybe less than 2 or 3 years experience, right? Okay, so this is all for today. So any questions? I'll be here for other 2 minutes. We can talk about any questions. Nice.